Modern AAA games have an expectation of interactivity. We already use rigid bodies for physically simulating gameplay critical objects, but often simulation budgets mean that everything else needs to be left static. Havok Physics Particles bring low-cost, lightweight simulation to your game. They're easy to use, highly performant, and constantly evolving. Havok Physics Particles can be integrated into proprietary engines through the Havok SDK, but they're also available as part of Havok Physics for Unreal product. Let's take a look at how we made the balloons particles in our most recent tech demo. This is all made using Havok Physics for Unreal and default Unreal workflows. Havok Physics Particles integrate directly into the Unreal Niagara system. They're super simple to use and really easy to get up and running. First, let's create a new basic level. I'm going to take the floor, duplicate it, and move it up a bit, then reduce the size, so we can have another rigid body in our scene and get a few collisions going. Next, let's open the balloons particle system. This particle system is made in Niagara. Everything right now is set up using the standard modules. We're currently using solve forces and velocity. This is the default module for processing the physics. And as we can see in the preview to the side, the balloons are appearing, growing, and floating away, all behaving as intended. Let's save this particle system and drag the balloons into the scene. As you can see, when they get to the object above, nothing happens. There's no interaction between these Niagara particles and the rigid body above them. This is the expected behavior for the default solution. So let's reopen our balloon system and change these to Havok Physics Particles. First, you want to disable solve forces and velocity. And we can see that this gives us a bunch of warnings. Next, we want to add a new module to the group. Make sure you've selected Show All and search for Havok. These three modules are Havok modules within the Niagara system, and you'll use different ones depending on your use case. But for this, we want to use the default, which is Havok Mesh Particle Collide and Solve. I'm not going to add it here because we already have one in the particle system, so instead we're going to enable it. As you can see, all the warnings have gone because the Havok module is now taking the place of the default Solve Forces and Velocities module. We can also see in the right panel that there are a number of different properties that we can set. So we can set collision shapes, we can set max convex hull vertices, max number of particles, and then these two fields we have enable particle-particle collisions and enable particle with rigid body collisions. Let's keep those on for the moment and then leave everything else as is. There is a field for gravity, but this is currently being overridden by the gravity force module. With these new changes, we can see in the preview that everything seems to be moving a little bit faster, but otherwise the balloons are still behaving as expected. Let's save this and come back to our scene. Not only are they colliding with the rigid body, they're also colliding with each other, eventually causing them to push themselves around the solid physics object and float further up. And that's all we need to do to enable physics simulation here. We can move back to the default solution and see that the particles move through the rigid body, and then enable Havok Physics Particles and save, and now they collide with the rigid body. Some of the settings that we can look at are the enable particle with particle. This enables collisions between particles in a single particle system, in this case, between the balloons. So if we disable this and save, the balloons no longer collide with each other, though they do still collide with the rigid body. You can't see it so well here, but the balloons aren't spreading out as much as they used to because they are no longer colliding and pushing each other around. And that's why we're getting a bigger grouping at the top here. Let's re-enable particle with particle and turn off particle with body. Havok Physics Particles in Unreal will automatically interact and collide with static bodies, but you can decide whether or not they collide with rigid bodies in the scene. This setting controls the rigid body collisions. Let's save this and return to our scene. And we can see them going through the rigid body. You can't see it so well in this example, but the particles are still colliding with each other. And that's it. Enabling Havok Physics Particles in a Niagara particle system is as easy as that. Simply replace the default physics collide and solve module to start collisions and tweak the settings until you achieve your desired behavior. Havok Physics Particles are low-cost, lightweight, and versatile, adding interactivity and immersion to any game without a hit on performance. To see how Havok Physics Particles can be used in your game, reach out through our website to start an evaluation.